Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Council Infrastructure and Airport Committee meeting. It is Wednesday, April 23, 2025. It is 5:31 p.m. It is 5:31 p.m. And if I could ask Ms. Paras, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Andrews,
Present.
Councilmember Cyrus,
Present.
Mayor Zelina.
Present, thank you. Next is public comments. This is reserved for anybody who would like to make a public comment on something that is not on the agenda. And I do have one card. I know there's a lot of people here. Do any of you else want to make a public comment? No? Okay. So I got one card here. Miss Mimi Dean. Director Dean. Is it Director Dean?
It is Director Dean.
Director Dean?
It's Director Dean. The phone? Hi, everybody. This on? You want to click the button? Hit the button?
Yeah.
All right. All right, my name is Mimi Dean. I do live in San Lorenzo. But as you know, the Hayward Executive Airport's area of influence goes over unincorporated Alameda County, which includes Hayward Acres, Ashland, Cherryland, and San Lorenzo. I'm here to speak about the Sky West project tonight, and I wanted to specifically address a couple of different things. At a recent meeting, Councilmember Andrews asked about the migratory status and the native status of the monarch butterfly. So I did my homework and I came back with an answer. So the Western monarch, which is the monarchs that fly in our backyard, they live between the Western Rockies and then they fly across the United States and they overwinter here in California and they lay their eggs and then they migrate back. So they're definitely native to our area, but they're native to many Western states. So there's your answer. As you know, we've been doing a lot of research and looking at what's going on with the plan that Hayward has for the airport. And it's not a plan that our community is really getting behind. We really think that we need to save Sky West for community benefit. And I know there's a really big project that's going to be taking place in Hayward soon because I go to the HASPA meetings. And I know all about the data center project. And I know that that project should have a lot more community benefit and a lot more revenue to the city of Hayward than is being asked for by the city of Hayward. And I would like to suggest that Hayward, because we know that data center is going to go in, right? And so we should ask for as much community benefit as we could get. And one thing I'd like to suggest is that we look at Sky West as part of that community benefit package. Because Sky West is 126 acres of open space that is zoned as a open space, even in the Looking Forward 2040 Hayward's general plan. So we in the community, we have a petition. Mayor Zelina suggested that we get a petition a couple of years ago. We have one. We have about 600 signatures so far. We're going to have thousands by the time we're done. We are really making a coalition coalesce. Like I'm working with students at different high schools. I was at Chabot College today. I was at Chabot yesterday speaking to a class. I just want to let you know that there's really a lot of community support about keeping Sky West as open space. The habitat for the butterflies. It's the 5th largest site in the state of California. It's the #1 overwintering site in the East Bay. And then the Western pond turtle, it's our only native turtle. Besides that, it's magnificent, it's picturesque, it's quiet reflection, it's community benefit, especially for an area of Hayward that has less than 1/3 of an acre of open space per 1,000 people, which is not in alignment with the Quinby Act. How many seconds do I have left or am I done? Yeah. Thank you for listening.
But I let you finish your point.
All right, thank you. I didn't, sorry. It needs to be over there.
Yeah, And I think it's Matthew, is it Thorne? Or no? Matthew, is Matthew in the room? There you go. How do you say your last name?
Matthew Verona, WRONA.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, that's you.
So that I assume would be regarding the calming the traffic and the. I didn't.
Oh, if you, okay, you didn't put an agenda item here, but if you want me to wait for the traffic one, I can wait.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Oh, let me ask one question though. When will
If you
the next
want to
meet-
make a public comment, come up to the podium and
So when will be the next meeting regarding, is it in May, regarding the Hayward Boulevard, taking out the 2 lanes of traffic from Hayward Boulevard?
so that you know, the way public comment works is we cannot respond to you, but what we can do is, once you're done, we can figure out a creative way to respond to you and we'll let you know, but, we'll let you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are all.
Yes, yes, we'll get that. But we can't respond to questions directly from the podium.
Okay, so I'll wait for my turn regarding the calming of the traffic.
Perfect, okay. And staff has certainly documented that. Okay. Let me write that down. Okay. Next is Kelly, is it Kelly Abreu? I think last time I pronounced it right too.
Both no. So I want to compare what Hayward is doing with what other cities do. Let's talk about golf courses. There's a city called Livermore. They have a golf course. It's right next to their airport. What a coincidence. And I think people are still playing golf there. Last time we dropped by, it's right next to a freeway too. You can watch their golf course from the freeway. And if they ever shut down that golf course, I find it unimaginable that they would allow their open space to get developed. Because it's underneath an airport and for a lot of reasons. But let's talk about, instead of just theorizing about what would happen if a golf course shut down, what happened to the Snow Valley Golf Course? It's next to 680. It's over there, in Sonoma, and it's owned by a government agency, San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. And what did they do when they shut down that golf course? It's still sitting there empty. They're bringing in cows. It's that's how things are done when the other people shut down their golf courses. Just to set some precedent here. And then let's talk about the if you look at this agenda for today, it's got all this spending for capital improvements. You know how much money it takes to and all these unfunded capital improvements that Hayward needs, and only a little bit of money, whatever, 3 million or whatever coming out of the general fund going into the capital improvement program. And it's it's very hard to find money to pave the roads or invest in things or maintain things. The capital, the maintenance in the capital is very hard to find that money. So let's look at what San Jose does. San Jose has a data center that's 99 megawatts. How many megawatts is your proposed data center? 77. Those are very close, very similar numbers. And in San Jose, they got $65 million for infrastructure improvements to widen roads nearby the thing, $8 million for development impact fees, $5 million in annual revenue from taxes and fees, and over $10 million in annual property tax revenue, all coming from a Microsoft data center in San Jose, similar in size. And they know how much. They told the San Jose Mercury, they told them how much money they're going to get in each category. Hayward's just sitting here, and all I hear from Hayward is, oh, it's going to be great. Hand waving stuff about, oh, it's going to be wonderful and we're going to make so much money. Where's the money? How much money? Which categories? And I'd like to get a little chart, this is what San Jose gets, and this is what Hayward gets. And this is what San Jose got, and this is what Hayward got. Because Hayward's chart right now, it's blank. It's blank. Do you guys know what you're doing? Do you have these, do you know how to negotiate, in other words? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Barbara Hertzeg.
Yeah. Well, I'm in.
Oh, you're on item number 3. Okay, yeah, you can wait. Okay. And then, Peter, did you want to speak now, or is there a specific agenda item you want to?
Yes, orchard, so.
Oh, Orchard, okay. All right. Okay, all right, and we will wait on that. Okay, seeing no more public comment on this, I will close oh, Zoom, that's right. Is there any public comment online?
We have 3 hands.
Okay,
We have 3 hands raised.
Melissa.
Yes, Melissa.
Melissa. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi, this is Melissa Millivan. Hello,
go ahead.
Mayor Salinas and Councilmember Andrews and Cyrop. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me tonight. I am also speaking on behalf of Saving SkyWest as an urban green space. I would like to basically, and of course I'm speaking as just a Hayward citizen. Again, I am going to talk about the toxic effects of what is happening with basically Hayward Airport as an executive airport. And yes, I basically keep having experiences with jet fuel in my current neighborhood. I know this is anecdotal, but I went on to Access Hayward recently, and basically there is a place where you can lodge your complaints for noise only. But I use that to actually talk about, again, the jet fuel that is blasting into my neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods and how horribly unhealthy it is. Again, was out gardening and had to come into the house because it made me headachy, nauseous. It's like putting your face in the back of your car's exhaust pipe. I'm getting real tired of it. And my concern here is that your Hayward citizens, the ones who are living here in these surrounding areas of the airport and beyond into surrounding unincorporated areas, we are the ones that are paying the taxes, the property taxes, the sales taxes, supporting the local economy. These are your citizens that need to be protected from these unhealthy situations. Now, I want the airport to be safe, of course. FAA regulations. I don't want a plane crashing. I don't want a pilot in danger. I don't want passengers in danger. I don't. Who wants a plane to crash on the ground? It's horrible. But your Hayward citizens are getting the brunt of these issues. And who are you really protecting? And the thing is that we are living here supporting the community, supporting you guys. And basically, I would ask that you really, really think of your local community, because people coming in on the jets are coming here to go to meetings elsewhere, in and out for a weekend or a couple days during the week. They can afford, maybe you need to just ask them to pay more for what they're doing, for using our local airport. I understand the airport is here to stay. I get that. But, you know, ask them to contribute to our community. And also, SkyWest is going to be one of the few areas in this local community that will help mitigate what is going on at that airport, at the airport. Yep. Right now, there's fumes coming into my house. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Elena.
Yes, that's me. Hi, how you doing? I would like to also add my comments about the SkyWest. I'm really happy to be able to attend the meeting, even though it's remote, but sadly the traffic is making things harder to attend in person. But I appreciate you listening, and I just wanted to add a few points. And I'm really happy Melissa pointed out about the noise complaints, and I live in Cherryland, and yeah, there's a lot of noise from those airplanes, which is not the main topic right now. I just want to say, as a resident of Hayward, I love walking. You know, I have 2 dogs, and I enjoy running and walking. And believe me or not, every time I want to go to the dog park, I have to drive. In the parks where I can actually walk, it actually also almost I have to drive every time, or I have to walk further than it's possible. So there's no evening activities. Oh, San Leandro Marina is 15 minutes away drive. There's no public transportation. And I think the places like SkyWest golf course should be preserved to make it for people accessible. Not even maybe for us, for future generations, for kids who want to bike, who wants to enjoy the nature, who wants to be under the shaded trees. We all know that the hot days will come, and we're all going to be seeking for this shade. In Hayward, the amount of asphalt around Cherryland is just impressive. It's really hard to find few trees. I'm really glad that few of the trees are in the now there's an ordinance that you can't remove the tree and you have to seek a special permit. I'm glad that happens. I have to add that um, uh, with the monarch butterflies and other species, there's a proposal to list them as endangered species. And actually, as of March 2025, there is again the open comment from Federal U.S. Fish and Wildlife Department. So it's the comments are open. We all should comment on how monarch butterflies are important. And if you will dig further, that the Unit 6 is actually in Alameda County, and it's proposed to be as a dedicated critical habitat for monarch butterflies. The Alameda County actually have a couple of places, and one of them is San Leandro Marina Golf Course. And we again seeing the same pattern. There's a golf course with trees and where there are monarchs. So the SkyWest is the same exact situation. I I urge it I urge you to preserve this area for future us and everybody else enjoyment. And yeah, thank you for listening. That's all for me.
Thank you. Next speaker is Rob Bennington. Rob Bennington? See, I'm gonna give Rob Bennington one more time.
Even asked to unmute.
Unmuting.
Well, okay, I will, I'm gonna move on and, if Rob can, call back. Maybe he can, oh, do we have another one? iPad? Okay. iPad.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? This is also Rob.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, good afternoon. Rob Bennington, formerly Cooperative Extension, have a background and career of 30-year history in horticulture and habitat management and restoration. I am chiming in here. I actually don't live in Hayward. I live in Ashland. However, the SkyWest Golf Course and the airport are in the sphere of influence of the Eden area, and also affect their overall livability. In addition to that, there's a significant lack of sufficient open space in the San Leandro, San Lorenzo, Hayward areas generally. And at the same time, we recognize the need that there's need for ultimate economic development in the city of Hayward too. But paving over open space, developing on land that is currently vegetated, that also has some vernal ponds, monarch and other species, whether endangered or threatened, isn't really a good look. The potential for development on industrial spaces in Western Hayward has greater opportunity than here economically, but also the concern about this specific open space is because of the airport. It's also because of overall air quality. We're at a point in history where less than 0.1% of fresh water remains that doesn't need to be desalinated on planet Earth. We're at a point in history where we're at about 60% of the world's populations living in cities, and our food is also traveling a further distance from us than ever before historically. And why is that relevant? Well, carbon footprints and food miles. So the potential for some of the SkyWest site to become a urban farm to serve ultimately low-income residents of the community really exists. And there's a lot of infrastructural support and potential grant funding for that as well. In addition to that, there's a current program available through the Association of Bay Area Governments, or ABAG. It's the 2025 Priority Conservation Area Nomination Cycle, due May 2nd. A couple of us have endeavored to reach out to, but not been able to get to, reaching Mr. Eric Pearson on this, but it would require that local governments consider nominating SkyWest as a priority conservation area. So specifically the city of Hayward to nominate it within this nomination cycle for the May 2nd submission. And I know that's tight, but your city nominating SkyWest as a priority conservation area would make that site eligible for grant funding. Some of the categories for priority conservation areas are urban greening, agriculture, heritage site, and open space. Thanks so much, and we really appreciate your keeping it open.
Thank you. Yep, okay. So that is all for public comment. I will close public comment, move on to approval of minutes, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the item.
Second. Moved by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Syra, and if there are no objections, it will unanimously pass. Thank you. Our next item is reports and action items number 2. This is the review of recommended capital improvement program for fiscal year 26 to 35. I believe our development our public works director, Alex Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, committee members. As mentioned, we have prepared the draft capital improvement program for FY26 through FY35. There are 23 funds, over 200 projects in the funds, and the budget for next year is over $160 million. The total 10-year budget is over $1.3 billion. We have over $700 million needs that have been identified, but have not been budgeted for. In order to go over some more of the details, I have Melissa Mata, who is a management analyst online. She is in her office, but wanted to have access to 2 screens, so she stayed there. Marissa, can you hear me? If you can, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good evening. My name is Marissa Mata, and I am a management analyst for Public Works. Today, I will be presenting the recommended fiscal year 26 CIP for your review and your comment. For the past several years, the CIP has been developed as an online book using OpenGov Stories. Staff will provide a refresher tour of the online book at the City Council work session scheduled on May 6th. The online version can be found on the city's website linked on the screen here. OpenGov Stories is intended to increase the user-friendliness and ease of navigation within the document and make it more publicly accessible. The proposed CIP includes a total recommended budget of approximately $161 million in fiscal year 26 and a total budget of approximately $1.3 billion in the entire 10-year planning period from fiscal year 26 through 2035. The document also includes a proposed general fund transfer of approximately $3 million in fiscal year 26. The recommended CIP also includes proposed internal service fees. These are fees that are collected when one city department provides a service to another, drawing those service expenses from the operating budget of the benefiting department. The CIP includes a recommended ISF of approximately $3.9 million. Now, this slide provides a snapshot of the recommended CIP's budget breakdown by project category. Examples of project categories are municipal facilities improvements, road and street projects, and airport projects, just to name a few. As you may notice, the largest portion of the recommended fiscal year 26 budget has been programmed in sewer system projects in orange. Projects in this category encompass a wide range of projects which support the ongoing replacement and improvement of our utility infrastructure, such as annual sewer line replacement and our Phase 2 improvement project at the Water Resource Recovery Facility. The second largest category is livable neighborhoods in gray. This category includes projects that focus on the enhancement of neighborhood amenities, with projects like La Vista Park, the South Hayward Youth and Family Center, median landscaping projects, traffic calming projects, pedestrian and bicycle improvements, and sidewalk projects, among many others. Lastly, the third largest category is the water system projects category in blue, which include groundwater sustainability projects, annual water line replacements, and more. This slide displays the recommended budget broken down by funding source as opposed to category. Funding source examples include, but are not limited to, special revenue funds such as gas tax and vehicle registration fee, or enterprise funds such as airport capital, water improvement, or sewer replacement, to name a few. Funds with the largest allocation of the recommended budget are the water and sewer system funds in blue and in orange. The fund with the third largest budget allocation is Fund 405, Capital Projects. Many of these projects fall within the livable neighborhoods category, such as La Vista Park and the Stack Center. The livable neighborhoods category includes beautification, safety, and neighborhood amenities and improvement projects like the South Hayward Youth and Family Center and La Vista Park. Other examples include the Campus Drive Improvements Project, through which a series of traffic calming measures are being implemented in the stretch of Campus Drive between 2nd Street and Hayward Boulevard, as well as the Orchard Avenue Traffic Calming Project and Safe Routes to School projects. The Alameda County Transportation Commission Safe Routes to School program conducts regular school safety assessments for public schools in Hayward and throughout the county, resulting in a set of infrastructure recommendations to make it easier for students to bike and walk to school. Hayward's Safe Routes to School program was created to implement these recommendations in collaboration with partners such as Hayward Unified School District, Alameda CTC, and various community organizations. Okay, a key project in the roads and streets category is Phase 3 of the Mission Boulevard Corridor Improvement Project, located from A Street to the northern city limit at Rose Street. It is the last phase of a 3-phase Mission Boulevard Corridor Improvement Project and will include traffic calming measures, the addition of bicycle facilities, the installation of landscaping, monument signs, lighting, and other improvements. Another project in this category is the Main Street Complete Streets project. This project will improve pedestrian and bicycle facilities along Main Street to create a safe and friendly environment for multimodal travel in the downtown Hayward area. The pavement rehabilitation category comprises all annual pavement rehab projects and is the 4th largest category in the CIP, with approximately $13.7 million in recommended programming in fiscal year 26. The table on this slide shows the city's historical pavement condition index, or PCI, for the last 10 years. It is measured on a scale of 0 to 100, where 100 means a newly paved road. As the table shows, PCI has had a significant improvement over the last 4 years. The new Fire Station number 6 and Fire Training Center project was constructed at the Hayward Executive Airport as a campus with classrooms, offices, a training tower, a burn building, and other facilities for urban search and rescue, as well as the new fire station number 6. Construction began in August of 2020 and was completed by fall 2023. Now, a new project in this category is the Public Safety Center project. The existing Hayward Police Station no longer meets the space, operational, staffing, and security requirements for the Hayward Police Department. The new Public Safety Center project aims to develop the conceptual design of the new facility, including site assessment of 2 potential locations, which are the former California Air National Guard site and the former City Hall building on Foothill Boulevard. The scope of work encompasses identifying space needs, conducting site analysis and design, creating facility layout plans, and cost analysis. The sewer system category is the largest of the categories in the CIP and includes projects which are enterprise fund supported and are related to the improvement of our sewer system, water reuse efforts, and the water resource recovery facility. Some major projects in this category include the fiscal year 26 sewer line replacement project, water resource recovery facility phase 2 improvement projects, and phase 2 recycled water projects. Staff is currently developing a recycled water master plan to guide design and construction efforts for phase 2 of the recycled water program. Phase 2 will involve increasing the recycled water customer base, which will require designing and constructing an expanded treatment facility to meet the increased demand. Water system projects are also enterprise fund supported and are related to the improvement of our water system, as well as projects which promote water conservation. Some major projects include the cast iron water pipeline replacement program, as well as the annual water line replacement project, through which we aim to replace 2 miles of water pipeline every year. Next, the fleet management category is comprised of projects involving the replacement of fleet units in various departments, divisions, or work groups, and other city-related vehicles. Fleet purchases benefiting the fire and police departments are predominantly funded by transfers from the general fund, while those benefiting the airport, stormwater, sewer, and water divisions are predominantly supported by enterprise funding. A project in this category is the citywide EV charging upgrade. Staff is working with Ava Community Energy to install 1 to 3 fast charging hubs for electric vehicle charging, the first of which will be Muni Lot 4. Muni Lot 4 is located between B and C Street east of Foothill Boulevard. These hubs will be entirely funded by Ava Community Energy and will also serve the general public, but will also be sited to also serve residents of multifamily properties, many of which are older buildings that lack the infrastructure needed to support EV charging. The equipment and software category primarily includes equipment-related purchases supporting the fire, police, and information technology departments, such as the purchase of radios, fleet cameras, and replacement of aging fiber optic lines between city facilities. The recommended fiscal year 26 CIP includes approximately $5.4 million in this category. The airport category is comprised of all projects within Fund 621 Airport Capital, which support improvements to the Hayward Executive Airport. One key project in this category is the Sulphur Creek Mitigation Project, which will allow for the design, engineering, and construction of enclosing portions of Sulphur Creek adjacent to airport runways. The project includes a total budget of $8.3 million, which is being provided by the Federal Aviation Administration, Caltrans Division of Aeronautics, and the city's Airport Enterprise Fund. And finally, the miscellaneous category includes projects that do not fit into the other categories, such as the 2040 General Plan Update, Route 238 property projects, and the parcel group projects. The parcel group projects, which are currently budgeted at $585,000 combined in fiscal year 26, are used to facilitate the new cohesive development of former Caltrans 238 property parcels, with the goals of eliminating blight, creating public benefits for the community, and generating excess land value to the city. In addition to including recommended project budgets, the CIP also includes a list of identified and unfunded capital needs. One of the largest unfunded needs continues to be the renovation of the corporation yard. The necessary improvements to the Corp Yard were estimated to amount to more than 140 million. The fiscal year 26 CIP includes a corporation yards needs assessment project, which is funding the development of a revised assessment to determine the current improvement needs and update costs. Another significant need included in the unfunded capital needs list is the Stack Center, which currently has an unfunded need of an estimated $25 million for future phases of the project. Lastly, this graphic is intended to demonstrate the CIP's alignment with the city's strategic roadmap. The list of projects featured here is not exhaustive, but does demonstrate a helpful overview of the priorities that CIP projects support. For example, you can see that the CIP projects tend to directly support the invest in infrastructure priority. However, many of the projects support multiple priorities simultaneously. All right, that concludes the presentation. It is staff's recommendation that the committee review and comment on the recommended fiscal year 26 CIP. Myself and the team are now available for any of your questions.
Thank you. What I'm gonna do first is, instead of going to committee questions, I'm gonna go to public comment first and see what you have. First is now Peter Rona again? Or did you, no, your orchard. And then of course, Mimi Dean. My apologies.
I know where to watch the clock now.
Yeah.
I discovered it. Thank you. Great. Well, I have a couple of things to say about that report because, you know, I drive down Hesperia Boulevard all the time because I do a lot of my shopping in Hayward. And something I've noticed since the fire station has gone in at the airport, I noticed that whenever I'm at that red light, the fire truck, Winton is so backed up. There's so much traffic on Winton. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is, but coming from the west going east, there is so much traffic that when the fire truck pulls out of the firehouse, they have to drive on the wrong side of the street. I have yet to see the fire trucks going to their emergencies, driving on the correct side of the street because there's so much dang traffic on Winton Avenue. So I'm just concerned about this because now we're talking about perhaps putting a police station down there, a really big police station that we know needs to serve the community, right? So I'm very worried about that. I don't think that's the proper location. I just think that could create more traffic and more chaos down in that part of Hayward. So what I'd like to say, of course, you know what I'm gonna lead up to, SkyWest. I think, how about if some of the hangars that we want to put at SkyWest go into the Air National Guard building instead of making it making it the police station. That's kind of really all I have to say. I had a bunch of questions, but I know you can't answer them. I am very curious about the Sulphur Creek mitigation because that's mitigation that we've been waiting for a really long time. And I'm imagining I can find out more about it at some other meeting or from one of your staff. And then the 43 million in unfunded capital needs at the airport is very concerning. And I hope that when we look at the new data center, that we are going to be able to get more money so we can fund some of these things. So once again, thanks for listening to me and I hope we reconsider putting the police station down in that area. It just doesn't seem like a great fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any online?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I just wanted to comment about the improvement, or like, I'm not sure how to call it. I think it's to slow the traffic coming down from Carlos B to the Mission and then on Orchard. So basically I see there like there's been quite a bit of change. Like you took away.
Monica?
Yeah.
I know that you're speaking on the traffic from Carlos B to Orchard. You want to wait until we get to that item on
Oh,
the
sorry about
agenda?
that. Yeah, then it's fine.
Yeah,
Sure.
my
Of course.
apologies.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just stay tuned. Ms. Patterson, that's it? Okay. Okay, so close public comment and I will start with. Okay, sorry, go ahead. Sure.
Thank you for the report. It's a exceptionally large amount of work that the city's doing on an annual basis. So I just want to acknowledge this does a great job of summarizing all of it. But I have immense respect for you and your team and all the folks on the ground that are making this real for the community. Really also want to appreciate, and I think for years we've been on OpenGov making our budget very accessible and it's mobile compatible. And so for folks that ever want to learn more about these projects or how we're funding it, I love that Hayward's ahead of the curve as it comes to being very transparent and making our budget very accessible to everyday residents. Because this is an item on the agenda, we can respond to some of these public comments if I'm not mistaken. And I am curious, could you speak a little bit to the Sulphur Creek mitigation just for one of our commenters?
So a section of Sulphur Creek is very close to the runway. And we have been asked, that has been identified as a hazard. And we have been asked to basically cover that. So in order to cover that section of Sulphur Creek, we have to find a mitigation site that we can mitigate the impact of closing that section. We have been searching for a suitable site in Hayward. We have not been able to find it. A year ago or so, we found a place in Oakland that we could use as mitigation. But staff was reluctant to bring that to you because we were looking for a site in Hayward to mitigate and maybe open a section of a creek or something to make it suitable. So that's the plan.
Okay, thank you. And can you speak a little bit to the site locations for the public safety center? It sounds like the former or the current Winton site is not a consideration. It looks like we're not considering, I don't know if demolition is the right word here, but can you speak to why those two were finalists and maybe not the current locations?
So the current location is 4.3 acres. And there is a building on it that is now at capacity.
Yeah.
If we wanted to use that site, which is too small right now, this apartment's operation will have to relocate somewhere else to a secure site for the duration, which is about 3 years. And that is a consideration. Why not using that site? The site that we are looking at on West Winton is next to the fire training center and fire station 6. So there is some synergy there. The site is twice as large as the existing site. And, traffic and other issues will have to be considered as part of the environmental documentation and see if it is something that can be mitigated, what we need to do, et cetera, et cetera. The site on Foothill is the existing site, the vacant site is about 3 acres, but there is a parking structure that has 700 parking spaces. That's 2.4 acres for a total of 5.4. There is some benefits of using that site in terms of basically saving money for the parking structure, which can be very, very expensive, about $40,000 per space. So you can imagine if you need 500 spaces, that would be a lot of money.
Understood.
That's another consideration.
And given the high cost of the police building estimate or the public safety center's estimate, I had mentioned before, and I just wanted to see if you're going through the assessment process, are there looks at what decentralized isn't the right word, but rather than having one large building, what a refurbishment of Winton plus the construction of the new building might look like if it would drive down costs.
Definitely, that's a consideration
Okay.
to see how we can save costs by leaving some of the operations on at the existing place and then have another headquarters somewhere else.
Understood. And we're going through the process right now of firming up our strategic roadmap for the next year. I know there's a lot of moving pieces that have to coincide at once. So this is being presented to us tonight, but based off what we finalized around the strategic roadmap, how much is this subject to change?
It is basically up to you. It is subject to change. It can change.
Okay.
If you make that change and incorporate it into the design and so on.
Understood. So my primary point of feedback here would be as we firm up that strategic roadmap for the next year, just seeing, how aligned what is being presented here is with what council has decided to prioritize as of last week, because this is very recent.
Absolutely, yes.
And I think folks in the audience would be happy to know that one of those projects that council is interested in looking at least many of us, is what would it take to preserve SkyWest's open space? So please keep the conversation going. Thank you for being here. I think outside of that, this is phenomenal work. I really appreciate what's gone into this, and I'm excited to see it become real. Thanks, man.
Thank you for the, wanted to know about the two locations for the Public Safety Center. Are these the two that bubbled up at the top so far with design, but are there other locations that you find with this design that maybe we should look at 2 others or 3 others? Because I know there's probably big conversations just for feedback from the department of other locations that might be up for consideration.
If there are other locations that have potential and there is not a long timeline to acquire them, yes, they can be considered.
Okay. And so then you will have to come back to council because it's going to be more time and money to do the
Sure.
location, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then wanted to see just in, it looks like we're looking at it by program and by enterprise, which is great, but what if out of all the programs and enterprises that you're seeing, what is the highest priority? Like, what is the product that keeps Alex up at night or Director Mary up at night? What is the one that you out of all of the programs?
So as I mentioned, we have about 200 projects in our CVP. About half of them, about 90 of them
Okay.
are active right now.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that the rest of them will not be active at this point in the year. 90 of them are active. One of the biggest projects, obviously, we are doing is the treatment plant improvement. We are under an order to complete that construction by 2030. That's a very tight timeline. So that's one. The safety center is another one that we have to complete. Stack Center is another one, and there are many other projects.
And I know in the past couple of meetings, I've been really pushing for advocacy at the state level because this is the plant project is our biggest ticket item that is hitting the organization out of all of the departments, and not just in your CIP. So I know there's a lot of advocacy here for SkyWest, but there should be advocacy at the state level regarding wastewater treatment and the demands that the state has put on jurisdictions. It's actually quite shocking, the sticker number. So if you all can look at how much money our organization could save if the state was to help us remove nutrients and do all these upgrades that are plant that are required, that kind of advocacy is what we need to see at the state level, because it is really a lot of damage to our budgets here. So just wanted to acknowledge that. And then how are things going with the sewer replacements and anything that you are concerned about? Like just keeping up the number of feet, linear feet, keeping the pace of what you've been doing in the past. Are you concerned about losing steam on that?
That's actually a great question. We have a requirement under our strategic roadmap to replace about 2 miles of pipeline every year. Because of the cost of replacing sewer lines, we have not been able to do 2 miles. the last time that we went to bid, every mile of sewer pipeline replacement cost $3.5 million. So 2 miles becomes about 7 million.
Okay.
On the water side, it's less expensive because it's not, depth dependent. You can install water lines at a given depth rather than sometimes sewer line is like 20 feet deep.
Okay.
That is $2.5 million per mile. The total amount of money that we transfer from, let's say, sewer operating to sewer replacement is currently $7 million.
Okay.
So if we spend all of that money on replacement, we could do the 2 miles, but we have pump stations,
Yep.
we have other systems,
Mhm.
we have the wastewater treatment plant that we have to also maintain. So over the next few years, we are going to have to increase the amount of transfers
Okay.
into replacement in order to be able to meet our goal, or your goal of 2 miles per year.
And then, what are the impact of tariffs? I know it's a moving target day by day. What are we seeing in terms of how it's gonna impact the CIP?
It is going to impact the CIP because we get some of our systems from overseas.
Mhm.
An example, for instance, is our cogeneration engine that we purchased from Europe. At a cost of $2 million. So to the extent that there is a 40% tariff, that cost.
And even some of the items we think are American made, some of those parts inside of those
Absolutely, that
systems
is
could
true.
be from other
That's true.
countries. So it could be anywhere from 150% to 20%, right?
Correct.
10 or 20. Okay.
Correct. And by the way, the reason that that engine was purchased from Europe is because at the time, that was the only place, the only engine that met the airborne requirement for emissions.
Okay, and are these numbers going to be updated once we have a good handle on what so it can change? Okay.
Right.
And then my last question, and this is for council members remaining, 1,500, that's the max we could do with the budget we have right now for trees?
We do as many trees as we possibly can do. As an example, the improvement of Mission Boulevard Phase 3 from A Street to Rose, believe it or not, had 0 street trees. This major entrance to the city did not have street trees. We are planting 120 24-inch box trees, canopy trees and other trees. That's part of the project, and we have many other projects for tree replacement.
When is that slated for completion, phase 3?
This month.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, let me
Yeah.
tell all the tree people
Mhm.
about that, because.
We are working on the punch list now.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mission Boulevard from A Street to Rose is looking good. Just a couple of comments. One, thank you. Two, if clearly what this committee does is all you have to do is, look at the presentation. Everything we deal here with is very expensive. And that's why anytime there is a change in Washington, we pay very, very close attention to what is going on. And I think Councilmember Andrews quite appropriately talked about tariffs. Tariffs are real. We're only in this 100 days, about plus or minus. And we are when these tariffs come to full realization, we will certainly be impacted a great deal. And I also wanted to appreciate Councilmember Cyrus' comments about, this document is still a working document. The budget is still a working budget. We're not done with this because I can only imagine that come month 6 or, come the end of the summer and the fall, when these tariffs really begin to take root, we will probably, in our mid-year budget, we will probably be having a very, very different conversation. And it's no longer going to be about SkyWest. It's going to no longer be about the Stack Center or La Vista. right? It's really gonna have to, we're gonna be having conversations about paring this work down in terms of what our priorities are. And I mean, I just, I can't say that more, and more, sort of more clearly. Just a couple of comments. I appreciate, everything. We're under livable neighborhoods, La Vista Park, I know, we've been getting email about La Vista Park.
We are receiving bids today.
Okay, good. Okay, and I know we're in the receiving bids process, but if in a perfect world, everything was seamlessly moving right along the path, and you had a crystal ball sitting in front of you, when do you think we could see a park up there, kids playing?
By the end of 2026.
By the end of 20, okay. That's great. Thank you. Another question I had was regarding safe routes to school and safe routes for seniors. I know we've been working with ACTC with safe routes and so forth, and I'm just curious, what kinds of enhancements, treatments, solutions have come out of safe routes to schools?
Yeah, so most of the types of things we're doing, they're sort of for kids walking to school. So there are bulb outs, there are improved crosswalks, there are things like that. Try to slow traffic near schools, kind of make it easier for kids to walk.
Perfect. And seniors?
It's very similar.
Oh, okay.
In different locations.
Yeah. And I have noticed that it's, and I know they're legally required, but on Mission Boulevard between Rhodes and Abe, the sidewalks are wider, and you do have, the wheelchair accessible or rolling accessibility. The one thing I have to say, I know there's those pads on the ramps that have the bubbles.
Yes.
The bubbles on them. They look great. But I did see, I did see a senior walking with a walker. It just, they were already sort of, wobbling a little bit and trying to negotiate those bubbles. I was just curious, is there any other kind of technology that sort of is smoother?
Yeah, so they're called truncated domes.
Yeah.
And they're very standard and they're really to help folks who are blind to be aware when they're leaving a space that's a pedestrian space and entering a space that's a shared space. So it's important that they be there, and they are essentially required. And there really isn't anything else that has the same, for that purpose.
Okay. I did want to ask a question regarding fleet management. I did hear a story on KQED, I don't know, a few days ago, a week or so ago, about a city that is rolling out their first electric fire truck. And I was just curious, has there been any research on that? Have we looked into electrification of our fire trucks or?
Not the fire truck per se.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that 3 years ago, when we were negotiating with Waste Management for our 10-year franchise, we really pushed them to go electric garbage trucks. And they resisted because they said that technology is not here right now. Now I see that there are some agencies that are introducing the garbage trucks, electric garbage trucks, because they are ideal because they are only so many miles, just so many miles on the road before they go back to station every night and get charged, right? The amount of travel is very limited, 50 miles. They're not going from town to, across the state. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But we are always interested, always looking to see what's available.
Yeah, and I can only imagine the expense, but, okay. That's all I got. I've got
Sorry, do you want to add something?
I just wanted to say that we took this to the CIP to planning commission for finding a consistency with the general plan. They did that. They were very complimentary. They liked the projects. The exception was related to traffic calming projects that we do that includes removing a travel lane. Two planning commission members made comments that they did not like that. They did not like us to remove a travel lane and add parking. That is a challenge that we have now with implementing most of our, projects that involve the same thing.
On the, on Orchard? Or Hayward Boulevard or?
It wasn't about Orchard. Last night, the gentleman that came and commented, he did not mention the name of the street, but I went and had a conversation with him. He was talking about Huntwood Avenue.
Oh.
And he said, hey, you have taken, in his words, 16 feet and added bike lanes, and he was unhappy about that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about Orchard Avenue, it was about,
Another, a different.
yeah. I think that actually one of the comments was about Orchard because the person that made that comment lives in the hill area above Carlos B.
Yeah, well, I just, and before I defer to Councilman Fire, but I just wanted to, there was one of the latest reports we got from ACTC it was one of their it was one of the project updates reports or something. And they were talking about and I mispronounced it last time, but it's the high injury network. And so of the high injury networks in Alameda County, 3 or 4, maybe 3 of them, there might have been a 4th one, but 3 of the highest injury network intersections are in Hayward.
Yeah.
And, and the injuries are collisions, fatal, and other collisions, fatal collisions and others. And so I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. That's why we're taking this action, but we're always open to adjusting as needed. And I think we're going to get into that in just a second. Just for the record, I want to just reiterate my support for funding the Stack Center. I know that that's something we're looking at for phase 2, but as I advocated before last week as well, I really am interested in funding both phases at the same time because we all know that the cost of construction and labor is going up. It's going to be more expensive to complete one phase and then have a 3rd phase happening while the building's actually in use. So if there's any way that we can save money as a city by just knocking it out, because similar to your question around La Vista, when are we going to see kids at that park? I want to see whole families using that center, while I'm still on the council, ideally, but while I'm still alive. And so if we could get this done sooner rather than later, that would be my recommendation. So I don't know how that might materially adjust the CIP budget, and I think that'll really come to a head once we finalize our strategic roadmap plan. But combining those phases just seems like a no-brainer because of the cost savings we'll realize and the benefit to our community more immediately. And then my last question is just around the bus benches. Is this coming out of this budget or is that a separate budget?
You want better than?
Sure. Yeah, no, there is an item in the CIP to do an expansion of the semi seats. And yeah, it comes out of Measure BB, countywide success funds.
Great. So this isn't touching our general fund.
No, not
Fantastic. Okay, great. Thank you.
And if Councilmember Syra wants to see the Stack Center before he's no longer alive, he's the youngest one on the council. So I really want to make sure. Go ahead.
Yes. Question about the crosswalk in front of the library.
Yes.
Love that. How did that come to fruition? And wanted to know how the budget went for that. And are we seeing more in the future?
Let me just.
Yeah, can start.
Well, fortunately, we have someone who was involved directly in that here in the room with us.
My guy. My guy.
So Maintenance Services took the lead on that and we coordinated with them. And I know that they've worked, I think, the city manager's office on the budget part of it in terms of finding places for art. And I know this all secondhand, but Wanda's welcome to absolutely talk about it. So, and then they're looking for other locations throughout the city to pursue that kind of scale of a project.
Yes. And then wanted to know if you're looking at any other items or utilities like access point covers, because I'm trying not to say manhole covers. And then also utility boxes, those types of things.
Yeah, I think anything potentially could be under consideration and, you know, they can take that back and look at those opportunities where they exist.
Okay.
There's a little bit of focus right now on crosswalks, but
I love the focus.
the option is good.
Yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
So for crosswalks, we are looking potentially using them on Main Street as part of the project.
And have you seen the crosswalks on the other B Street, the B Street across the bridge? That jail.
Oh, yes, I've seen.
So I don't know if there's something you all can do with that kind of art as well.
Sure.
Okay, great, thanks.
I'm glad you brought up the library crosswalk because a few days ago, I think it might have been over the weekend, I was watching Channel 9 and they were talking about, it was a story on the artist who did a mural on the new Highway 1, a stretch of Highway 1 in San Francisco, the part of, you know, they closed down Highway 1 and
Oh, yeah.
they turned it into a park. But the process of doing this mural, and the mural wasn't this long mural, it was I don't know how big it was, but it was really maybe the same size of ours, but it wasn't a very easy process. I mean, they used drones to map out the space and the whole thing. So I don't know what our process was, but it was a very complicated artistic process, the way they did it. So anyways, just kudos to Public Works or to the streets maintenance to that. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I will close this item. I'll move on to another item, item number 3, which is evaluation and long-term project recommendation for the Orchard Avenue traffic calming quick build pilot project. And I believe, I can't see your card,
Okay, so he's the Deputy Director of Public Works. Thank you for the opportunity. So Byron Tang, Principal Transportation Engineer, will be giving a presentation about this item. Before he begins, I will note, because we had a question about it, that the Hayward Boulevard project that we've been working on, which came previously to you, we are holding a public meeting for that on May 8th. It'll be held at Cal State East Bay. The information is on our website, or I can talk to folks afterwards and get you additional information about that.
All right, welcome members of the committee, Mayor Salinas, Councilmember Andrews, and Councilmember Zyro. I'm here to present on the Orchard Avenue Traffic Calming Quick Build Pilot Project. So this presentation today will cover a quick project construction update, and then we'll talk about the evaluation that we did after the project was construction was completed. And then we'll talk about the recommendations, and there'll be some time here for questions and feedback. For a quick update on the construction, this project actually has it's been a while, and the first committee meeting was in January 2024, and planning of it was in 2023. So it is a milestone now that we're in 2025. And this pilot was originally it came up because of community feedback that they wanted to do something quick. And so here we are, and it has been completed. So this is what we'll be talking about today. The pilot was completed on January 9th. So the evaluation of this project started immediately after the construction was done. So it was started in January and it lasted all the way until April. It consisted of different kinds of ways of collecting data. So we did data collection through vendors who did counts, turning movement counts, counts of trucks, all kinds of vehicles. It also included staff observations. And then also along the way, whenever we saw opportunities to make adjustments, we try to do that also. And then I'll talk about more of that later. And then in addition, resident survey was sent out. Over 5,000 postcards were sent out to the neighborhood of Orchard and Hayward Highlands mainly. People had an opportunity to take the survey. But it's also put out on our social media and other avenues. So a lot of things that in this evaluation that we're trying to ask is some of the objectives that have been discussed in previous committee meetings. Some of that's could we reduce speeding with this pilot? Another was could we reduce cut through traffic? That was something that was mentioned a lot. In addition, we received many concerns about the heavy vehicles going through Orchard. So were we able to reduce heavy vehicles? And also, were there any other impacts or things that came up maybe that wasn't as expected, but was a concern or of note? All right, so just very quick rundown of some of the highlights of the data collected. From the data we collected, we did see speed reductions near the roundabout and on Long Orchard. They varied from 4% to 8% average speed reduction. We also, the counts showed that heavy vehicles, so all vehicles that are larger than a typical passenger vehicle, we did see reductions up to around 50%. So this is from 2023 before the project and till now 2025, January 2025 when we collected the data. The total amount of vehicles, heavy vehicles and regular passenger vehicles remain pretty much unchanged from 2023 to 2025. Numbers are almost the same. When it came to observations by staff, one of the key observations we found was the roundabout operations do appear safer. It used to be that vehicles, especially going eastbound, could just drive straight through because there's just striping. Now they cannot because there are many roundabouts, there are delineators that make them have to slow down a little, which is the purpose of a roundabout. So we did observe that. We also received a lot of feedback about increased congestion and queuing along Mission Boulevard and Orchard and Carlos B intersection. And this was a lot of effort was spent on this evaluation period looking into this. So staff actually adjusted the signal timing 3 times. And the 3rd time we changed the phasing to lead lag phasing, which allowed the left turn and the through movement from Carlos B to go at the same time, and we increased the green time. And we saw through our recording of the notes that queuing was reduced by about 30% average queues in the morning. In addition, we received feedback from other city departments, including our maintenance, that delineator maintenance is an ongoing need, and up to 7 to 10 delineators need to be replaced weekly. So they do get hit, and they do get it
A lot.
a lot.
Specific to,
There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
specific to this pilot or across the city?
Oh, no, just
For this pilot, okay.
So data, this is just very quick rundown. Data is available in the staff report and will be available on the website for residents. And there's a handout there that we passed them. Right. Now to talk a little bit about the survey. So the survey was opened March of 20th and was ended yesterday. We received over 500 respondents. Most of the respondents were from Hayward Island, about 60%. And then the second largest was around Orchard, which is what we expected, because that's where most postcards were sent to those 2 areas. To the right is very high level, insights, and almost everyone has perceives, congestion has increased at the Mission Boulevard and Orchard intersection. But for the other things, perception will not always align with the data. Like for example, and it's hard to really, unless you're watching the street all day, you can't really tell if heavy vehicle increased or decreased. But other things that to point out is, there's some disagreement that cut through traffic was reduced, and the data kind of shows that the overall vehicles didn't change. And then it's a kind of split perception on reduced speeds at the traffic services around that area. I'm just going into the data just a little more from the survey. One interesting thing we found is respondents did about 22% did say that they actually use Orchard less than what they did before the project. So that was an interesting insight that we found and wasn't expecting. And then to your bottom left is a breakdown of the reduced speeds by location. And as you can see, as it gets closer to Orchard, there is more agreement that that the speeds are reduced, but it's still overall kind of a mixed perception if they disagree or agree that speeds were reduced. On the top right was an interesting insight where pedestrians and bicyclists tend to perceive that the speeds were reduced more than people who were driving in a vehicle. And then for the bottom right graph, you can see that there was some people who did agree, especially around the Orchard Avenue neighborhood, that there was reduced heavy vehicle usage. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about staff recommendations. A lot of these recommendations are based off the Vision Zero, the city's Vision Zero by 2050, and also the Bike and Ped Master Plan, which are also approved documents and policy documents that we look at. So for the immediate and short term, we do recommend the removal of the two raised intersections on Orchard Avenue. This is something that we receive many complaints of by some a lot by one person. These raised intersections are not best practice and built to the standard of what raised intersections that are built are now today. And they cause a lot of noise when heavy vehicles go over them. For the second recommendation for the immediate and short term, this is something we received a lot of public comments on. There's a left turn lane that was removed from going from Orchard to Mission Boulevard. And we, this played a role in this recommendation and we are recommending to reopen the left turn lane. So, of course, with any implementation of these recommendations, continual monitoring will be done just as we've done with the pilot. We also have a set of long-term recommendations, and we have listened to the feedback. No one really likes the delineator posts. It's like how to look or how they are. We are recommending to replace the pilot project temporary materials with permanent materials. This will make maintenance less, not worrying about having to replace the delineators on a weekly basis. And then another thing is this, going back, this pilot was not meant to address all concerns on Orchard. And really these long-term recommendations are to, address those concerns that were raised by the community in the previous meetings. So we are recommending to install crosswalks, curb ramps, and curb extensions on Orchard Avenue, which would enhance the traffic calming. There are no crosswalks going across Orchard right now, which we've received many feedback on from some of those residents. With the space of the reduced lane, there's now opportunities to explore installation of buffered or protected bike lanes. And this is talking about on the east portion of Orchard where there's a lot more space. The west portion is a little different. We also like to look into installing safety lighting at the roundabout. This area isn't, the lighting isn't that great right now, and that would also enhance more safety. And then maybe for a more ambitious thing that would connect everything together, the staff is recommending to explore options for multi-use trail connection from Orchard Avenue to Whitman Street. And that would actually connect bike lanes to the future East Bay Route. So that concludes the presentation. Our recommendation, we are looking for feedback and direction on our recommendations and welcome any questions and comments.
Great. I'm gonna do public comment first. I'm gonna call upon Peter Ronan.
Hi, I'm a resident of Hayward Highlands for about 55 years now. And my concern with the project is that you reduce the lanes, you reduce the left turn lane, you also on the Carlos B, the right turn lane was eliminated and moved. It created congestion. To me, there is much more congestion now in that area, and also some confusion because now in order to go straight, you have to change on Carlos B. You have to change lanes. Going down Carlos B, you have to move to the left lane in order to go straight. Otherwise, you will end up on a right turn lane to Mission. And, a couple of times when I was changing the lane, I couldn't do it in time. I saw some other cars, they couldn't do it in time. It's just asking for accidents. So my question is why, obviously you will slow down the traffic if you reduce lanes, but you will create congestion. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. But, I hope you take a look at it again, because there is confusion and a lot of congestion now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Russell Altig.
I'd like to take a quick step back to the Community Resource Center. That should be located as close to downtown as possible. A signal at the roundabout on Joyce Street, I recommended that before, just like the one on Soto at the Greenway. Hayward Boulevard. Hayward approved all that housing up on the hill without any thought to extending Hayward Boulevard to Harder Road around the east side of campus. Now, it may require tearing down a couple houses to do it, but you approved all that housing on the hill, which created this problem. You created the problem without a solution at hand. You have a potential solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any speakers online?
This one says traffic coming.
Oh, did I not? Okay. Matthew Vernon? Yeah, okay. Good eye.
Thank you.
I apologize.
I have been a resident of Hayward Highlands for 55 years, and I had an undergraduate degree in civil engineering and designed roads, and I have undergraduate degree from San Jose State and graduate degree from UC Berkeley. And I have been a licensed civil engineer in the state of California for over 50 years now. So just from my professional experience, a couple of comments and suggestions on this. So first of all, going on to, calming the traffic. We have to look really at the root causes of why there is traffic going through Orchard Avenue to Soto and then to Jackson. This has been really caused by the tremendous congestion that is at the intersection of Jackson, which is essentially an expressway, almost a freeway, Foothill and Mission. And that needs to be addressed in order to reduce the traffic going through the neighborhoods at Orchard Avenue. As you could see in this, pilot program, the traffic didn't reduce that much. What was it, 3%, 5% from the survey or the between 2023 and 2025? My suggestion would be to start looking at that rather than doing the pilot programs, because we spent over $250,000 for this pilot project. If I were to suggest something, I would say that we should have done simply a computer study on that or a simulation, which can be based on simple measuring of the traffic here. So reducing the number of lanes is not a solution. It requires a major solution to the problem. And the major problem is that Hayward is a transit point for the commuters between the peninsula and the San Ramon Valley that in the past 50 years, which I observed living here, just skyrocketed. So we have to really somehow address that. Otherwise, we will have still the traffic through the neighborhoods. And so some of the suggestions, the left turn, we have to change it. We have to reintroduce the right turn into the Mission Boulevard from Carlos B. Because right now, what this created really is it pushed more traffic to Orchard. Yes. Because you can't turn right into Mission. Now, a lot of people don't turn right into Mission because Google Maps and Apple Maps will direct you to Orchard, because simply between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. of every day, every weekday, and 2 p.m. and about 7 p.m. in the afternoon, the intersection of Jackson, Mission, and Foothill is practically impossible, especially for people living in Hayward. If I want to go to downtown Hayward to support some of the businesses there, and you know what is happening to the businesses there, you can't get there.
Your time is up.
Okay.
Oh, yes, we heard you.
Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Barbara Hersig.
I have been living Hill for 42 years. Since you approved all the buildings up on the hills, it doesn't make very much sense to me that you want to reduce lanes on Hayward Boulevard or anywhere else. Now the pilot project on Orchard, there is all that pavement that now is wasted. And at least the lane, that one lane that goes through should be at least 12 feet or a little bit more, not less. Under the bridge, under the Bart Bridge, I'm sure it's not 12 feet. It's less. I don't know where there is all that pavement. Why cannot you give us a decent lane width? Okay. The roundabout, it should have never been done. I am a transportation engineer, retired. That should have never been done, as well as none of the ones on Fairview. The only one that is decent is Hayward Boulevard to Fairview at the school. That's a decent one. But this one at Orchard is actually terrible. Now, the way it is done now, the sharp turns, why do you have to have such a sharp turn? It's not an accident that those channelizers are being knocked out all the time, because
slow down.
it is, you don't have room to turn that sharp turn. The turns are too sharp to navigate, okay? This is not slowing down the project or the traffic. In my view, it is not knowing roadway design to me. This needs to be reevaluated. It is terrible. It works right now as a regular cross intersection because the side traffic still stops, cannot go because the so-called roundabout traffic through Orchard, those just go through. And the side streets are stopping and waiting until it's free. Because in a roundabout, you have to have enough length to go to give room for the other traffic to come in. If that is not there, then it has no
Your time.
reason. Okay,
Yes.
so that's the number one thing. That
Ms. Herzog,
roundabout should be a little bit more.
thank you. Your time is,
Okay.
I appreciate it. Bringing up the roundabouts up on Fairview are like triggers around here. I know that's those have been some long discussions over the years, and so, but absolutely. Okay. I will now come back up. Oh, of course, on the list. Yes.
Monica?
Hi. Can
Go
you hear
ahead.
me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what the other neighbors said. I also live on Highland, and basically, like to me, it doesn't make sense that you remove that lane to go right, and also the other lane, basically from Orchard to go right as well. But the point is that there is so much congestion right now that my request is to bring it back to what it was the original. So I understand that this has been a multiple phases project, but it doesn't seem to me that it's working because the improvement are so minimal. Like the stats, I don't know how relevant they are. So yeah, my only request is like please remove all those little poles that take away so much space on the road, and also repristinate like those lanes because we need to come down that road. We need to go to work, we need to take the kids to school, and it's not feasible in this way. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other callers?
Ms. Parr?
Hi there. So first of all, I wanted to thank all the staff for all their hard work in this and listening to feedback from the community. In terms of the traffic coming down the hill from Carlos B, I understand the second right turn. That's probably a good idea. I don't know, but let it queue up, let it back up into people going straight. Maybe they will rethink about coming into a community neighborhood that was never designed to handle this kind of traffic. The traffic, like intersections, whatever, the raised intersections, okay, that's okay to remove those. They were a stupid idea from the beginning, but could we possibly consider traffic humps to slow the traffic down? And in terms of the roundabout, if you looked on your own map, I don't know if it's feasible, but if you can move the roundabout south when you're redesigning it so that it's more of a roundabout, so that traffic going from Orchard toward Mission is a less straight through. It's slower now, but it's as speakers have pointed out, people in the roundabout still have to wait to go through. And I love the idea of the crosswalks, but I would encourage if there's any room in the budget to add the beg lights similar to what they have at some places like on Harder, and they have one at the Eden, the Greenway on Soto to stop traffic, because I think because traffic still goes through there way too fast, and for the safety of the people crossing through, it's just something to consider. I think that would be awesome, and I also agree with a previous speaker that the problem is you need to address, and I know you're looking at this, the problem at the traffic at Jackson and Mission, and with that stupid loop that really exacerbated that problem. And I really do appreciate it, everything you've done. And so thank you very much. And as I said, anything you can do to discourage people from driving straight through onto Orchard from Carlos B would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other calls?
Alicio?
Yes, sir. So I'd like to comment on the alleged reduction in speed and heavy traffic. I am not sure this is due to this pilot project. The quality of the road surface has, it's full of potholes on Orchard. So that might be one of the reasons why the traffic is a little bit slower. I do not think traffic has been reduced by this pilot. Also, the heavy traffic is has seasonal components, so maybe now it appears that less heavy traffic is going through Orchard, but it's been winter, so less dump trucks because there's not much earth moving. So I am not sure there's been any improvement due to this pilot. What is sure is that traffic and congestion has increased a lot. And it's terrible. Every day I wake up, I have to take the kids to school, I have to go to work. It's a nightmare.
Yes.
Please bring back the 2 lanes and try to make traffic manageable. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it? Okay. Before I call on Councilmember Andrews, Syra, I want to, if you don't mind, take chair's privilege to speak first. I want to sort of bring our attention back to sort of why this was an issue to begin with. There is a neighborhood between Soto and Mission. It's Orchard Avenue. And this is an older neighborhood where you have families, low-income families. You have seniors, many on extremely low fixed incomes, and who rely on that street to walk, to bike, to go to school, and to get around. And they came to us with a great deal of concern that, one, traffic was too fast. Period. Too fast. I mean, I don't know any other way of putting it. Traffic is fast. And I keep going back to, I don't know the family. I've never met the family. I've never met the owner of the property, but on a high frequency, when I drive around that loop, I can see that wall around the loop completely driven through, like a car had just driven through it, right? On more occasions than I would want to see. But that fence is always destroyed because a car has gone through that fence.
Because
So that's the first issue. The second issue is that there is a big concern, a serious concern about cut-through traffic. people use Orchard, you know, from the hills. They drive right through Orchard. They turn on Soto to go to Jackson to the freeway. I mean, I don't know anybody if through traffic at the amount and at the frequency in any neighborhood in the Hayward Hills that would want that amount of traffic. If that was on any other street, Farm Hill, Skyline, Doble, we would be having a very different conversation in this room. Very different in this room. And these neighbors have come to us for a solution. Have come to us. And that's what we're doing. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox about the loop because I live off of the loop. And when the day after that loop was implemented, I could not get out of my driveway or go into my driveway without being honked at. Because cars were now on my street, not going 25 miles an hour, but now they were doing 50, 60, with or without speed lumps. Right. And so, you know, I look at the slide 3 where it says speeds have reduced to 4 to 8%. Okay, I wish it was more, but it's reducing. Secondly, heavy vehicles have turned around. I don't think anyone wants heavy trucks going through their neighborhoods of any size, whether they're, you know, 50 footers or higher. You know, some of the observations, I know they're making some tweaks, but you know, Ms. Parr, I have to agree with Ms. Parr. We're talking about a neighborhood here, and I'm also very observant that I don't know how many in the room that are actually from that Orchard corridor right now, but right now there's nobody in the room, or maybe 1 or 2 of you, 3 of you. Thank you for being here. That you know that have spoken yet, but I want to bring voice to this because I have when at street party, you know, we all get hit at street parties and when we're out in the public. These are the concerns. These are concerns. And when I see congestion, yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, we had to wait a little longer. Yeah, all of that. But at least traffic is slower. Right. And I should, and I'm sure the others will bring this up, but the other reason why we're doing this is because of safer bicycle ridership and others. But I don't want us to lose the intention, what we're doing here. I was looking at the recommendations. I want to go back to what Ms. Parr said. Whatever we need to do, I'm in support of this. And yes, let's focus on these things. I'm not saying we're not listening to the good people up in the hills. We're listening and you know, all that. But I don't want us to lose focus on why we're doing this, and we're doing this. And it's both short-term and long-term, temporary with some long-term fixes. But we're doing this because there is a neighborhood that is being severely impacted. So I'll let my remarks there. Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for everyone who came out tonight. I just had a couple of questions. So, remove the 2 ways intersections on Orchard Avenue. There was a question about traffic comes instead. Can you speak to that question?
We can evaluate.
Okay.
Speed humps. It'd be challenging in the wider section, I would say, but we could definitely look at the other section instead. But just like we have noise complaints about the intersection too.
I was gonna say, can you talk about that?
So we'll definitely look at that as an option and bring it forward.
And can you remind the community why the traffic haven't been as popular?
Haven't been as popular. The specific location here on Orchard is unique. They came as well before my time, but as Byron said, they're kind of non-standard the way they're designed now, whereas the speed humps we generally pretty well received on the streets that we put them in on. And we used to use the kind of temporary ones that people don't like, but the permanent asphalt ones tend to be a little bit better.
Okay, great. So it'll be reviewed.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then reopen the left turn lane from Orchard Avenue to Mission. Thank you for bringing this up. So did it not have as big of an impact as we intended when we closed it, or what was the reasoning for closing it?
Yeah, staff did observe that,
Okay.
that part of the discussion too, and did observe, queues,
Yeah,
exceeding the pocket length.
Okay.
So that would help.
okay. And
Can I
then,
just add one thing about
Sure.
that, which is that, so, as I mentioned this already, and I do want to make sure it's clear to staff, we've been taking the concerns we've heard really seriously, like we did these multiple retimings of the signals, we did really, but one of the issues when we did the multiple retimes of the circles probably had an adverse impact on that pocket length coming from Orchard.
Oh, okay.
And so that's, now we'll address that and hopefully that'll stabilize a little bit.
oh, okay, so I see. So the left turn lane, you were also adjusting the signal timing to address the taking away of the left turn lane.
We did adjust, like we made the physical geometric changes. Then we started to adjust the signal timing. And as we did that, it had other impacts now. So, we're tweaking and changing as we go. But that's likely one of the things that happened as a result of that. Because it used to be both just the straight directions went at once and the turns went. And now it's like one side of the turns goes and then the others, and then the straightaways go and then the other side. So it kind of creates a situation where you have to play around a little bit with it works. But we can open that pocket back up
Great.
and that'll help.
Okay, and that left turn lane, when you closed it, well, temporarily closed it, the left turn arrow was still on there. Is that normal to do that, or do you paint, when you close out the lane, do you normally do a temporary paint?
If it was permanent, we would
Oh,
remove it, but because this is all sort of a pilot, it's okay to leave it.
Okay, got it. Okay, and then do you want to speak to the right turn lane coming from Carlos B?
Yeah, I mean, so this is the issue we've heard about more than any other
Mhm.
during the pilot, the greatest concern. And I think for sure respect and understand the folks here tonight who have that concern. So there is a right turn lane. It's just been shifted away from the curb inside, and what there is not is two through lanes. So there's a right turn lane, a through lane, and a left turn lane. And what we were experiencing when we first put it in, which we did try to correct the signal timing, was that if you were trying to turn left, the through travel was they were sort of blocking access to the pocket because the queues were a little bit longer. So by changing the signal time, it made it easier to get into the pocket, and both staff observations and the data kind of show that we made a pretty substantial reduction in that queue lane. But there is still a right turn lane there today. The issue is that you have two through lanes coming through. When you touch Mission Boulevard from Carlos B, you have to have two receiving lanes. So if we're bringing it down to one lane, then we have to have a merge somewhere else. And generally, there are a couple different ways to do that. The way we've done it is with what's called a trap lane, where you basically force people to turn. And the other way to do it is to merge them. We actually had a conversation with PD today. The only place that Orchard really experienced significant collisions was where the old merge lane used to be when you got in towards the roundabout. So we're just pushing that upstream if we bring that back. So we'd rather do it the way we're doing it, but we think there are probably tweaks we could continue to do to make it clearer and make it easier for folks.
Okay, so you're looking at signal timing to help with that. Okay, and then question about the permanent materials. Are we concerned about accidents coming from the people hitting the permanent materials, or it's just going to be more durable?
Yeah, they'd be more durable, right? And this wouldn't be something that you would break off, for example. So I think that they would work a lot better for the purposes, and they would also be less abrupt. So, for example, we're using these kind of mini speed humps inside the traffic circle now. If we did an actual sort of truck apron, as it's known, which is a raised segment, it would just be so like when you had to use that, it wouldn't be as jarring, for example. So it would work a lot better overall for folks. And where we have permanent infrastructure, people where they see curb, not that nobody ever runs over our curbs, right? But it tends to be much less than when you see just the kind of posts.
And the permanent implementation doesn't have to take place tomorrow.
Yeah.
All these comments from all sides inform the decisions that we are going to make and bring before you.
Got it.
We are not going to install concrete where we had a plastic bollard that was hit several times. That's not what's going to be done.
Okay.
We are going to take all of these comments into consideration before a decision is made what to do and what to.
Thank you for that reminder. And then install safety lighting at the roundabout. Are the neighbors going to be impacted by more lighting in that area and the roundabout in terms of?
There was maybe some different lighting configurations that can reduce the kind of overflow of the light to the houses and that can be useful. Yeah.
Okay. And then you also mentioned crosswalks. You're looking at some crosswalks. Okay. High visibility crosswalks, all that. Okay. And then did you get any complaints from other streets about more traffic in their streets or the Hayward Retail Center? I know there's a lot more activity kind of coming to that area. Do you think that is one of the reasons why you're seeing an unchanged amount of cars or?
That's a good point, and certainly could be that there's just more traffic because of that. I mean, several folks have already alluded to this, but there are few ways through town, right? So it doesn't necessarily, it's not more convenient to try to use a different street really, for the folks who are kind of coming down and through and getting over to Jackson. So I mean, we did reduce speeds somewhat. Not too surprised we didn't see a big reduction in traffic. It was still a few folks down the speed limit.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the update. Running an experiment here, and experiments have, we're testing a hypothesis, and sometimes you find out things that were unexpected. So, you know, I understand the recommendations. I'm happy we're looking at removing the left turn, or we're reopening the left turn lane from Orchard Avenue on Mission Boulevard. I am curious if there's a way for us to signal better to reduce confusion on the traffic lane as it's currently designed, especially as we're looking to move into some sort of next phase. I think I'm in alignment with all of these. I just wanted to respond to some of the comments. First, I just want to ground us in the why, and I'll get on the soapbox about the loop. I completely agree. The loop downtown, this monster of a throughway that's choking the center of our city, it was a mistake. And it was a $100 million mistake. And that's about how much it's going to cost for us to fix it if we're lucky. But the council, we're on board with trying to fix this. We recently received, I believe, a $4 million grant to begin initiating studies to redesign and redevelop this. Once we know what that plan is, and I hope you all show up to talk about, you know, what that plan should look like, because we want to get it right this time around. Because when we go to the county and we say, hey, sorry about the last $100 million, we're going to do another $100 million. We better have a really good plan that time around. So I just want to be clear, we're working on that. We understand that is the big fish to fry. And recently at a strategic planning meeting, when we were looking at our infrastructure projects, that was one of the highest priorities for us, was we need to keep our eyes on the loop and figure out what is ultimately a generational problem at this point and how to solve it. So I want you to know, we get that, and we understand the connection here. I heard a comment earlier in the crowd that no one rides bikes in that area. There's a father named Chris Pena who died riding his bike. Okay, thank you.
I'm a bike rider.
Okay, good. Because to me, and I want to be clear for the folks that don't believe it, because you have a lot of folks from the Highlands. I grew up on Farm Hill. I grew up down Hayward Boulevard. My family takes Orchard. I know this road. But this is an unsafe place for people that are trying to travel in ways that are different than just being in a car. A father of two died at Mission and Orchard being hit by a car because people are just going too quickly. And we need the infrastructure to allow people of all types to travel the way that they want to. Cars are getting more expensive. You try looking at the used car market these days, we're about to give out, I think I said this last time, what is it, 2,000? Maybe that's too high, 600? I don't want to overpromise here.
Around 2,000.
We're giving out 2,000 bicycles to kids. All right. What kind of roads do you want these kids to be riding bikes on? Do you want them to be competing with the cars, streaming down Carlos B and not slowing down a little bit? Or do you want them to have a lane of their own so they can get to school safely without emitting carbon emissions and making our climate crisis worse, right? So these are the trade-offs we're considering. I'm not dismissing what you're saying, but I just want you to have the additional data. And I also just want us to be grounded in facts. We have a really talented staff team here, and they've conducted 4 months of studies. And to say, oh, well, it's potholes and the speed didn't actually go down. Come on,
we see who the president is, we see how he operates. Let's not just throw facts out the window. We're spending very real time trying to study these things to have the impact we want to have. And we sat in an auditorium of 50 people from the Orchard neighborhood telling us less heavy vehicles, slow the traffic down. And for all intents and purposes, this pilot has demonstrated that we've accomplished that. So we're not entitled to have somebody else's neighborhood be our throughway. The traffic is frustrating, I understand. And I think we're seeing what adjustments we can make to adjust that. But I just really want to level set here all the considerations we're taking into account when we do a pilot like this, and to not dismiss the hard work that's happened and the community input. Tons of working families coming out to tell us our neighborhood feels unsafe, please help us. And what we're hearing today is I'm a little bit frustrated that I have to wait one more light cycle, and this is oppression to me. And these are different things. So let's just level set. We're going to make adjustments. I'm in line with these recommendations. I do want us to look at how to improve the traffic lane. I think this right turn lane is the biggest pain point here, right? And all of our residents deserve some form of relief. But if this is what's required to prevent people from dying, yes, $250,000 on the pilot project. The loop was $100 million. How much would you pay for the health and safety of your child or your grandchild? What price tag do you think the city should put on that? On your parent, on your, whoever in your family. But let's just be, human about this. Let's see the humanity that other folks that are looking for their own safety here. Is our comfort in a car really what takes precedence over somebody's well-being and health? I just want to offer that question there. So we're going to look into it. I hear your comments. Please have, please hold in high regard the people that ask for this as well, even if they couldn't be here tonight, because as the mayor said, it is a very working class neighborhood. I don't know if the Jackson Triangle's had a representative on council for how long, they don't have the luxury of coming out here. And when we did put a call out, they came in mass. So I just want to leave it at that. Thank you for all the hard work that went into this. We're going to continue to make the adjustments. I think you've heard all the comments tonight too. And we'll keep moving forward.
Thank you. Okay, do you have what you need?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, perfect, wonderful.
Oh, and humps where the raised intersections were. I don't want to just remove the old raised intersections. I'd like for there to still be speed humps there.
Okay, I'd like to close this item. I'll move on to future items and this is review and comment.
Do you have any comments?
And no, I looked at the Councilmember Andrews.
Oh, yes. Wanted to see if we can look at high visibility crosswalk locations, potential locations we can identify. Do you have that list or if you already have a list?
And so typically for thinking about future location, I would say anytime we're repaving,
Okay.
we're replacing crosswalk, we're putting back high visibility, that's much easier. You see the visibility that you can see in advance, where you end up putting them back
Okay.
that way. And then anytime we have like a safe route to school project, safe routes, all those projects we're looking at putting in high visibility crosswalks. But if there are particular locations.
Yeah, can I have the latest and greatest, I guess, on the safe road for the seniors?
Sure.
Yeah, so I did get a couple of calls this week about the new senior developments and having more traffic safety around those. So that's something y'all can bring to.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be happy to talk more
And
about that.
I can't remember, do we have any signage for, sorry, we're still in the meeting, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we, if you want to talk, please talk outside or just 3 more minutes.
Then you can yell at us throughout it again.
So I know I've seen in other communities, senior housing, yield signs. Do we have that on our?
We have, so some of the senior developments have gone, there's some signage near the ones on Second
Okay.
Street, for example, and we can definitely put in, there's
That-
specific signage that's allowed or.
Yeah.
So we can
That-
absolutely do that.
Yeah, if we could talk about that, just so I can forward it to those communities, that'd be great.
We can get you information about those things.
Okay, and then I would like to see impact of tariffs at some point. It could just be whenever you do your next update, just include it for the next update. That'd be great. Thank you.
If you know what they are.
Give it 5 minutes for it refresh and then we.
Yeah.
I know I may have lost some fans here, but I think having a clear timeline on when we're going to bring the Hayward Boulevard project back, people care about it, obviously. I think we're going to have this May work session, community public feedback session, but being able to be clear about at that session, the hope to agendize it maybe in our autumn meeting or something, just so folks know we can expect to come back, would be my hope. So I don't know if that's the specific date that works for your team, but just really, my ask is please communicate when the next meeting is at that public meeting.
I do.
Okay, next to committee member or staff announcements or reports or referrals, seeing none. Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Two quick.
yes.
announcements.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember Cyber, for flagging the Balloon study. We have kicked that off. I want to be clear, the 4 million is not for that study, it's for a whole set of studies. Yeah, that's just one of them. So don't think that we're spending all that there. Just-
I was like, wow, that's an impressive study.
We're gonna be starting outreach in May, and I think we'll probably, at the first street party, we're hoping to do some pop-up outreach there for that, and we've got studies also.
Bring some plexiglass.
A and B Street and Tennyson as well. So we are actively working on that. We definitely want to make sure that folks are participating. You'll get communication about this as well, so we can make sure we get good outreach for those, because those are all kind of getting going now. And I did want to mention, we came to you almost a year ago about Gadding Road, and you gave us some very clear direction. We have since then conducted some additional outreach, and we did have, and I think, Mayor, you may have had a conversation with one of these individuals, some very passionate folks who don't like that project. It's a complicated project. We did essentially half the project on Patrick and left the other half. We're finishing the full project. The direction we got from you was clear to kind of keep going and move forward. We heard some good things. We can make some tweaks on for that generally related to signal timing, some other stuff. We don't think it makes sense to not do the Gadding part at this stage, but to do it, complete it, and then we can always revisit it later. But I just want to make a quick update on that as well.
And can we also have a quick update on just Main Street, how that's going? The sidewalk, the construction, how that's going? It doesn't have to be today, just whenever you all come back.
Absolutely. Main Street is going to be completed in about a couple of months from
Okay.
now. And at the end, we can do that.
Okay, yeah, great, thanks.
Okay, and if there's no further business, meeting.
Announcement.
Yeah.
There's the Thursday cleanup, is that correct? This Saturday, do you want to let us know?
Sure. April 26th, Beach Park, 8:30 to 1, register if you want a taco.
Come out, meet the community, take care of a neighborhood, and then in the afternoon, there's also the Hayward Lit Hop. For folks that are unfamiliar with the Lit Hop, there's gonna be a series of different authors reading at downtown businesses. We're gonna kick off, I think it's either at 12 or noon at the Heritage Plaza. Look at haywardlithop.com, but open to the public.
So Hayward will be lit.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah.
And clean. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming out. Meeting adjourned.
Guess what?
Oh, it's all right, sorry.
It's fine.
That's right. Good, I'm glad you came back.
Good job. Thank you.
I just got an inspiration myself, so I'm writing that.
Yeah.
Good point.
I've seen the West.
That's all. Yeah, I had to do that. I actually make class